2019 meeting of the Coastside County Water District Board of Directors to order. Could you please take the roll? Joanne?
Dr. Long, Vice President Iverson.
Here.
Dr. Feldman.
Here.
Dr. Reynolds.
Here.
President Coverdell.
Here. And Vice President Michelson, could you do this in the
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen. So I see a large number of people, commonly called public, members of our public. Would anyone like to speak or address the board at this time? Or on a matter not on the agenda? I don't see any speaker slips. So consent calendar. Are there any items on the consent calendar that anyone would like to?
I reviewed the consent, the claims list and found all in order, and that's in the consent calendar.
I have two questions, minor questions. James, maybe you can answer. Dr. Lyerly is on our consent. Is Dr. Lyerly supposed to be?
Old Dr. Iron will be.
Oh, yeah, okay, was old.
Yes. Are you talking about the hydrant leak?
No, it just, Dr. Lyerly showed up in the leak report. It didn't get specific.
This must be the Highway 92 ARV raw water line.
Okay.
So it's more the appurtenances above the pipeline rather than the pipeline itself.
I know we're a pro-ductile iron district, and I don't want to see any failures. And I see someone with a little bit of history here, Joe. Thank you for coming.
Certainly.
The dredging is also showing up on our consent calendar. Are we getting ahead? Are we treading water? Are we falling behind in dredging Denison?
Those are all very good questions. I would say we're keeping up with it.
We're keeping up with it, which is,
It's a sand producing watershed.
yeah, well, okay. But I mean, in this regulatory environment, keeping up with it probably is a small victory.
It is. That we celebrate every year.
Thank you, I'm done.
So I would entertain a motion on consent calendar.
I'll make a motion that we adopt the consent calendar.
Second. It's been moved by Director Reynolds, seconded by Director Feldman, that we accept the consent calendar as presented. Could you please take the roll?
Sure. Dr. Larman.
Yes.
Vice President Nicholson.
Yes.
Dr. Feldman.
Yes.
Dr. Reynolds.
Yes.
President Coverdell.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you. Are there any meetings attended or director comments?
None.
Okay, I did my snow report today. I can tell you there's very little left. I hope it starts raining soon. There's still a couple small patches, but nothing to recreate on. So, general business. District Transparency Certificate of Excellence awarded through the Special District Leadership Foundation. And looks like we have an honored guest. Would you like to address us?
Thank you very much. As some of you may know, I'm your California Special District Association field representative. There's 6 of us throughout the state, so I represent the Bay Area Network, which you're in. So let me know if you need anything. We're coming up with new trainings all the time, and if you ever need a specific one, we can put something together for you too.
And could you identify yourself, your name?
Oh, Colleen Haley. Yeah,
Colleen
sorry
Haley,
about that.
thank you.
I should have
Yeah,
noticed that.
Just wanted to know.
Yeah, you probably got some emails, so I'm the girl who emailed you. But we're here today about your Special District Leadership Foundation Transparency Certificate, and it takes a lot of work to get this. I just want to acknowledge staff right now because it does take quite a bit of time to compile everything, and it is a real honor to receive this. And I'm going to go into a little bit about the program, and these are our talking points that we have to give in formal occasions like this. So if you excuse me, I'll try to get them through as quickly as possible. There might be a little repetition with the word transparency. But the Special District Leadership Foundation is a 501c3 not-for-profit arm of CSDA. It's dedicated to promoting excellence in special districts through recognition programs that highlight and focus on implementation and governance best practices. There's currently 4 of them. There's 2 for the district as a whole, the transparency one, which you just earned, and there's a district of distinction as well, and then there's 2 for individuals, 1 for general managers and other high-level staff, and then 1 for board members as well. And so if anyone would like to look into getting those, please let me know. They all have very specific requirements for each one of them. But the transparency program was created in 2013 as an effort to promote transparency in the operations and governance of special districts to the public, and to provide special districts with an opportunity to showcase their efforts in transparency. There are 3 main subject areas for this program: the basic transparency requirements, which include current ethics training and certificates for all board members, and timely filing of the state controller's special district's financial transactions compensation report. The website requirements, which include posting the board meeting schedule, district's mission statement, current audit and budget information, and the board of directors roster with terms of office audit. And then the outreach requirements. The district has to select 2 of the following, so your district did 2 of these: regular district newsletter, an annual informational public budget hearing, and or a community transparency review. So then why transparency is important? Because the public has a right to open and to accessible government. Special districts, regardless of type or size, are public agencies that use public money and provide public services. The district's business is the public's business. Transparency means the district is open, accessible, engages the community, because easy access to district information through mediums like a website provides for an opportunity for constituents to better understand their district, and because transparency allows for accountability. The presentation of the certificate means the district has completed a comprehensive transparency checklist that I just included, the general website and outreach best practices. The district has demonstrated tangible knowledge of transparency efforts. The district has shown a commitment to being open and accessible to the public, and because the district displays a commitment to engaging the public and creating greater awareness of the district's activities. Therefore, on behalf of the board and staff of the Special District Leadership Foundation, it's my pleasure to present the District Transparency Certificate of Excellence to the Coastside County Water District, recognition of your efforts to promote transparency in the operations and governance of your district. Congratulations. And what we sometimes do is we take a picture for our Special District Leadership Foundation Facebook page and post it there and give the district a little acknowledgement. So if the board would be agreeable to that.
We're totally agreeable.
Okay, great. Well, I'll give this to you, sir, as the president, and then,
Would this be presented to the general manager?
it's usually presented to
Oh, well.
the president,
I'm
but
happy to take it.
however your district would like to do it.
Well, I'll take it and pass it down the line, how's that?
And then, I don't know, if maybe standing in place is the best.
Take a picture in
I
front of
think
flag.
we should line
Just
up.
maybe huddle a bit.
Yeah, standing,
I would put corners so the flags in the back.
All right.
Instead of
we
this
can
challenge.
flag it.
I mean, the maps are cool too, actually. Yeah, but I agree the flag was very official.
Well, we're not gonna have to vote on it, okay, we'll just shuffle.
I'll take a photo.
Are you visible? Can you
Yeah.
see?
I don't know.
You're gonna be in the center.
In the middle.
You're gonna be in the middle, okay. Good try.
Yes.
Okay,
It's fine.
if you want me to sign. 1, 2, 3. I'm not going into it.
There you go.
All right, well, that's been my presentation. Let me know if you need anything, and thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you for coming. Congratulations. Yeah, and I think it would be really appropriate for Dave Dixon to enjoy a portion of this.
It's all Joanne.
I thought I changed the word.
All Joanne.
This really needs to go to Joanne. She organized.
I should have mentioned that this is your renewal. You've already received it once before.
So I think this is
Keeping
the
up with
picture.
it.
This is the picture.
Okay. 1, 2.
Permission to put my arm right.
Aw, no district has done that before, like acknowledge staff, so.
Oh, wow.
That's very special.
We've got the most,
Transparent.
we've got the most amazing staff.
Yeah, we have the best staff, that's why.
It's the only reason we're able to sit up here smiling. But
Very nice.
thank you very much for
Welcome.
taking the time, and thank you
Because the
for
letters you
creating the
addressed to
program.
Joanne.
Thank you also for recognizing, I think that the Coastside County Water District, you can find out almost anything you want to know on our website. I think it's a real tribute to Joanne, tribute to the staff. It's,
Kathleen, of course.
it's just amazing. Kathleen's out there, but we'll bring her in a little bit. Thank you very much. So item B on the general business is the approval of the water service agreement for the Carnoustie subdivision phase 4. Any comments? I like the fiscal impact, increased revenue due to new construction.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. Are we protected from any complaints about water pressure due to this extension?
So is that a question for you?
Yeah.
All right, so, just, maybe Mary should give a quick staff report on what this is, just for the,
Yes.
for the video, rather than just jump right into the question. I'm happy to answer the question.
Okay. So what we have is a draft water services agreement that is attached to the board package. This is for the Carnoustie Phase 4 plan, and it consists of about 300 linear feet of 8-inch diameter pipeline in the Ocean Colony Carnoustie development. So what will happen is that the Carnoustie LLC will construct the pipeline and then turn over the pipeline to us at the end of construction and our acceptance. So,
Great, so what's before you tonight is a water service agreement. As you'll see, this is Carnoustie subdivision phase 4, so this is, I think, at least the third or fourth water service agreement that the district has had with Carnoustie. And like all water service agreements that are south of town, we have pressure issues. And so one of the provisions that's included in this water service agreement, which is also in the prior water service agreement, is a section 9 provision dealing with the sizing of the interior and water pressure. And we put the burden on the applicant to determine what minimum pressures are needed, recognizing that there's low pressure conditions. There's recognition that the applicant is responsible to ensure the sufficiency of water flow and pressure at all fixtures within the residence, and that the district has no responsibility to inspect the installation. And we also put the burden on the applicant in provision B to inform future owners and occupants of the project of the low water pressure conditions that exist at the project, and to advise future owners and occupants of the project about this as well. So that's what's included in the water service.
And that does protect the community.
Yes, right.
So one of the nuances of the state water code is that if you go below 35 PSI, you have to notify the customer annually that they are receiving low pressure water. And it's tedious. And if we're going to be below 35 PSI, I would say it's a bad idea.
Which begs the question, where are we at now?
And here's, let me add one of the reasons that this is really a problem. If we have a new backflow rule coming out, what the state's done is taken Title 17, which was a separate piece of regulation. They're rewriting it and they're putting out a state drinking water guidance manual, which would be required by law as referenced. So they won't write a new CCR. What they'll do is a more expedited method is to cite the guidance manual by reference. I'm on the committee that's assisting the state with that project. And we'll see significant, the goal of it is to have uniformity in backflow compliance for the state of California. One of the specific things it will do is enable the district engineers, the regulators, to provide greater focus on backflow protection. A backflow device is going to drop the pressure 12 PSI as a minimum. You can't buy a backflow device that has less than 12 PSI to my knowledge. Isn't that right, Joe? And I'm being generous there. It's easy to get a backflow device that's in the 15 to 18 PSI to drop. So if you start with 35 PSI and you take, let's just make it for soft math, 15 off of that, you're 20 PSI. At 2.61 is 2.1 feet, you don't have any pressure upstairs for the shower. So this will work okay with a single-story house, but you can't build a two-story house and have a shower upstairs and have a backflow. So then what happens is the developer puts a booster pump into the house. And what's happened, as an example, at East Bay Mud, the booster pump will have a problem. The client calls East Bay Mud and says, I don't have water pressure. And East Bay Mud has to either send somebody out, or I help them actually develop a white paper that they sent out explaining you have a backflow device, you have a hydromatic tank and a booster pump, and these are all your pieces that you have to maintain. Call a plumber. It's a pain in the butt. It's not something I would cheerfully run towards. And really the bulk of the problem here is what often happens in this case is the solution is pushed out to the consumer, which is a really bad program in many cases in drinking water. So a better solution is to have a booster station that puts the pressure up for the whole area, and you don't have to have these individual pumps in people's garages. So if we're going to knowingly take this on as a low pressure, I don't see it as looking advantageous to us in any way, shape, or form.
I guess I'm confused, or lack information at this point. Do we have information, Jim, or?
The pressure out there is
That the
about 50,
pressure,
the pressure out there is about 55 PSI
I was
right
gonna
now.
say, I live there, and that's the pressure, I mean, I'm just wondering what,
Are you seeing backflows being required on residential units
So
in the future? Is that something that's in the pipeline?
Yeah, so if they have a sewer ejector pump, a swimming pool,
not there, they don't.
a sauna, anything that has a pump that can push back or could be, or if they have reclaimed water. Any of those are non-approved potable water source.
And that's something Kathleen looks for in her inspections, I guess.
So well, the current code that we have for the district says that all connections will have backflow except single-family residential may be exempt. So
Right,
we
that's,
don't have to actually inspect them, each one. But if it comes up that somebody has a connection that, or has one of these threats or health risks, then we would have to require backflow. So typically, single-family residence doesn't, but if you have any of those things, a well or reclaimed water or sewer ejector, then you do.
So what's the drift here is what, you want to do this, or we shouldn't do this, or, I'm just trying to understand, I mean, these are all running at 55 PSI, correct? There are no pools or saunas as I know them, and generally, I don't know that any of the prior 32 houses that they put there in that area, and which this is an annex on, just a little separate area, has had any difficulties with their pressure, or have they? Have we gotten any reports at all from that area at any point, or have our patrolmen, our water patrolmen, been observing?
No, and I don't know of
calls
any,
about problems, I'm just trying to understand.
and I'm not aware of any residential backflows that have been required on Carnoustie phases 1 through 3.
Right,
The houses that we have not gone through plan review, this is for the backbone underground
Sure.
utilities.
Have they done a computer model, a hydraulic model of what the pressure will be?
What the pressure will be?
Yeah.
No, I don't think it's required. I don't think it's necessary. It's gonna be 55.
Okay.
We don't have pressure problems out there other than it's
So I guess
generally well.
I was confused because it says we've got a clause in here that says they've gotta indemnify us
but
on low
because if it's
pressure.
south of,
Then
it's south part of the city.
I'm what's the disconnect? If we don't have low pressure, why are we requiring a low pressure indemnification?
I think low pressure can be a loose term. Most people like 70 to 80 PSI at their house, 55, 60.
Like
I don't consider that really low pressure. You don't want to put a third story in, but
Did you say that, did you have a comment?
Well, I just wondered if that's if the average is 55, is there a variance around that? And do we
it
know?
depends on elevation. If you're lower, you're gonna have more pressure. You're higher up on the hill, you're gonna have less
Right,
pressure.
of course, so what's the variance?
It's pretty flat out there, so it's gonna be about 55.
Maybe a
It's a
10 or
cul-de-sac.
15-foot elevation. That, it's not
And
even
then,
that.
I had another question too.
Sure.
And that was that there's two houses on Redondo Beach that are right next to this. Are we gonna be connecting to those houses through this system
Which houses are these?
on Redondo Beach Road?
The ones further up the street that, oh,
They're right
future?
behind it.
I'm not sure which parcels you're
They're basically adjacent to it on Redondo, and I wonder if we have easements so that if they have to be connected in the future, they could be connected from the source.
We already connected those this past year. We did a mainline extension and we received the easement. So the extension goes up around the corner to those two houses.
The two houses, yeah, right,
Right.
next to the 8:13.
Other comments, questions? Entertain a motion?
I'll make a motion that we, hang on, I make a motion that we approve the attached water service agreement between the Coastside County Water District and Carnoustie LLC for construction of a pipeline extension along Carnoustie Court in Half Moon Bay.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved by Director Reynolds, seconded by Director Feldman, that we approve the attached water service agreement. Could you please take the
Yes,
roll
Dr.
vote?
Wagner,
Yes.
Vice President Markison,
Yes.
Director Feldman,
Yes,
Director Reynolds,
Yep.
President Coverdell.
Yes, thank you very much. And now I get the pleasure of proposing that we approve an attached resolution 2019-05 expressing our appreciation to David R. Dixon upon his retirement after 12 years of service as the general manager of the Coastside County Water District Board of Directors. And so I have a few notes that I thought I would share with you. Whereas Dave Dixon, after serving as general manager, secretary, and treasurer for Coastside County Water District for the past 12 years, has retired effective October 25th, 2019. And whereas David R. Dixon achieved numerous accomplishments in his capacity as Coastside County Water District general manager, including, these are just a few, mind you, successful management of the Coastside County Water District that has grown to encompass 4 water supply sources, 2 water treatment plants, 6 pump stations, 17 miles of transmission pipeline, 83 miles of distribution pipeline, and 11 water storage tanks. That he's had efficient development and management of an annual revenue fiscal year 19 through 20 of $13.7 million, annual capital expenditures of $3.3 million, and a staff of 20 employees. He successfully negotiated a long-term water supply agreement and individual water sales contract with the city and county of San Francisco in 2010, including an untreated water rate and the approval of an amendment in 2013. He had dedication to protection, development, and improvement of water rights, water supplies, water systems, and alternative water supply resources. He had design and implementation of major improvements and upgrades to the district's Nunes water treatment plant facility. He had design and implementation of major improvements and upgrades to the district's Denison water treatment plant, celebrated by many during a tour of the facility on May 2nd, 2013. He researched financing options and obtained $12 million in outside funding for water system reliability improvement projects. We can attribute the successful completion of all phases of the construction a Valgranata pipeline replacement project, and a festive plant completion celebration conducted on September 10th, 2008. He improved the financial viability of the district, including increasing district reserves. He had successful implementation of a meter replacement program and advanced meter infrastructure, we call it AMI, with benefits including a reduction in manual reads, implementation of monthly billing for residential customers, leak detection efficiency, and assistance with water loss estimates, and improved analysis and reporting of water usage to customers and regulatory agencies. He helped with the implementation of a comprehensive multi-year capital improvement program, a financially sound and successful operating budget, and compliance with increasingly restrictive water quality requirements. He aided in the successful execution of the district's first ever Water Day celebration, attended and enjoyed by many on May 14th, 2011. He was involved in the successful annual auditing of the district financial statements and the independent auditor reports, resulting in annual unqualified opinions. We tried to modify that language many times. Like, couldn't you guys just say good job? But we were unsuccessful. He aided in the development and execution of an agreement for emergency water supply between the Coastside County Water District and the Montero Water and Sanitary District in 2010. Dave helped with the adoption of an approved urban water management plan in 2010 and 2015. He was involved in the successful implementation of the Water Smart program, which is an online water management tool providing a multitude of benefits to both customers and the district, especially in the area of water conservation. He was involved in the effective development and management of water shortage contingency planning, mandatory water use restrictions, and heightening water use efficiency. Dave displayed outstanding leadership after the district office fire in January of 2014, leading staff through building cleanup and repairs, relocation to temporary office facilities, and overseeing modifications and reconstruction of the district office through February 2015, while continuing to provide excellent customer service and efficient operations. Dave was involved in the successful implementation of a multitude of strategic planning retreats, featuring individual workshops showcasing topics such as district funding, infrastructure, and water supply. He was involved in the development of an additional position and remarkable recruitment of an assistant general manager, our now current general manager for finance and administration. Dave created multiple relationships in the local community, enhancing public respect and trust in the district and its operations. Dave improved staff relations, enhanced board communication, and helped to create a spirit of mutual respect and teamwork. Whew. Oh my goodness, and that's just to name a few. So whereas David R. Dixon's personal work ethic and dedication to fulfilling the mission of the Coastside County Water District has earned him the respect of directors, co-workers, and customers, and the high regard from elected officials, public agency peers, and private consultants that he has interacted with throughout his career at CCWD. And with the approval of the board tonight, we will say now that it is resolved that the Board of Directors of the Coastside County Water District does hereby adopt this resolution of appreciation to honor the dedication and outstanding service of David R. Dixon, and extends our best wishes for many years filled with happiness and good health during his retirement. And I would entertain comments or a motion on the resolution. Sorry? Yeah, would members of the public like to make comments?
Go ahead.
Mine's simple. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mine's equally as simple. You know, we take, and should be able to take water and also sewer for granted. Because of David, we could. And even though I live outside of the district, I'd like to say thank you very much for all your efforts, Dave.
I'd just like to say he was the best boss I ever had. Okay, Joe.
Other comments?
Yeah, I enjoyed working with Dave very much and always felt I learned every time I interacted with him, so I've enjoyed it immensely. And,
Well, I said before, I said again, Dave's the best hire I ever made.
Yeah, I would echo Bob's sentiments, absolutely.
Well, I had the pleasure of actually signing the documents that hired him many, 12 years ago, I guess, and then I was gone for a while, and then I came back, and it's been an amazing transformation. And I know it wasn't entirely Dave, but I know that without Dave it could not have happened, so thank you.
Well, I saw Dave today at Kaiser, and so I hope you were there for all the right reasons.
Signing up for senior advantage. I didn't qualify for the district's lifetime benefits.
Stuck it out for 3 more
I'll
years.
go further on that. My only comment would be I just really have enjoyed working with you, and we're in good hands. I have no concern for the district, but certainly I will miss you, and I think we all will. So, a motion to approve this resolution?
oh yeah, I'll make a motion to approve let me read it.
Not again.
Start at the beginning, Wade.
I make a resolution to approve the attached resolution 2019-05 expressing appreciation to David R. Dixon upon his retirement after 12 years of service as general manager of the Coastside County Water District.
I'll second that.
So it's been moved by Director Reynolds, seconded by Vice President Michelson, that we approve resolution number 2019-05, which I won't read again. Could you please?
Director Loner?
Yes.
Vice President Michelson?
Yes.
Director Feldman?
Yes.
Director
Yep.
Reynolds? President Coverdell?
Yes, thank you very much. Congratulations.
Give it to him? Are you supposed to sign that?
Well, we've got a few things we need to write.
Yeah, I have to fill it in.
The poor guy doesn't want to sit through the whole.
He has to come
Sure
back.
he does, he saw the balloons and stuff like that. Okay, thank you very much. The monthly informational reports, general manager's report, please. Mary?
Okay, so I wanted to report out on the latest PSPS PG&E outage, which happened on the weekend of October 26th to 28th. So this was an event that took us 48 hours. The previous event was 18 hours. So in preparation for the outage, we filled up all our tanks, we got fuel. Didn't quite expect the 48 hours, but we, everything we can say ran efficiently, and we didn't have any issues. No customer complaints, pressure issues. Everything ran, and we were able to deliver our wonderful water. But I will say it was a little nerve-wracking because 48 hours into the PG&E outage on coming in on Monday morning, I will say first of all, we were in close communication with our PG&E rep. I think James, was getting reports almost, every 2 hours from the rep, and on Monday morning, the rep was saying, well, there's gonna be another event. And so he wasn't sure of when the power would come back on Monday, or if it would come back on Monday. So it became quite a scramble, understanding that we were basically living off our tanks. Realized that different from the other outage that we had, Crystal Springs was off. We didn't have power. We also, we're in the process of replacing our pipe into Ortiz Canyon, and we don't have power again. So it was basically we're living off our tanks. which, for, a, 2 or 3 day period works, and that you have to look at our tanks also provide us with fire flow. So it was quite a, it was nerve-wracking. I think with, I know James and our staff emphasized to PG&E, in our contact that we were, that we really, they needed to get Crystal Springs back on, or they needed to get us a generator immediately. And so the good news is by noon, we had Crystal Springs back. We're not quite sure if that's because of our rep, and, but as Sable, we like to think that, but, and then we knew we were gonna likely have a power outage on Tuesday, so we were able to quickly fill our tanks back up. Nunes ran like a charm. We got it up to 3,000 gallons a minute to quickly get water, filled by the evening on Monday. So in anticipation of the outage. It is, this is a concern with PG&E. We are a public utility with providing health and safety services to our customers, and being without, I understand emergency situations, but being without power, considering on an ongoing basis is very concerning, that we'll have these kind of, we hear this is gonna be the norm, and, it's a question of what do we, our system's not necessarily designed for the norm, I'll say, but, it's something as we move forward, we're spending $500,000 on Denniston, on generators at Denniston, so that will help us. We could be running, Denniston in an outage. We're looking into options for Crystal Springs. We're gonna be talking to San Francisco, talking about, what our options are on that front. They seem perhaps a little more amenable to having a generator, but, you're talking really huge dollars, $500 to $1 million in putting a generator there. So, it is something that is something we have to think about as we're looking at our capital planning, and also just in terms of, is there anything we can do, with PG&E, and adding our voice to this issue that we are, that we're a public utility, that they need to make sure that, we can get a hold of a generator, or, we can, that they're here for us, but it's a concern.
You had a question?
Well, if we had gone a few more days, how many more days could we have held on? So Denniston is the only tank that was really significantly down, right?
Well, they have the bay tanks were down, so that's where, we dropped from 26 feet to 13 feet on our Hampton Bay tanks. So, and then Denniston, our other tanks, it's difficult to move water in the system with some of our tanks that we'll talk about, but, Denniston was down. We could, we're looking at alternatives. On Monday morning, it was kind of all hands on deck trying to be creative, including figuring out if we could reconnect the pipe up at Coastside as an option. We're a couple days away from being able to turn on wells.
Okay, I once heard a number of 8 days of supply in some discussions at some point in the past. If we had 8 days reserved, everything went to hell. We would
Probably
still
should
be able.
5.
5 was the most, I don't
Five is
remember,
what
5 to 6, so we were at 2, and 2 more might have blown our lead here. We were on the margin, we're getting there slowly. A couple things, one bad piece of thing that you had to deal with, and Jim had to deal with, was that the Denniston yellow pipes being replaced. We had thought.
Stone Dam.
Stone Dam.
Stone Dam, I'm not Denniston, the Stone Dam yellow pipe. And we had thought we'd be able to do it in parallel with the existing pipe, which we couldn't. So the pipe was out of service as well, so we figured out a way to have hose available from the fire department to run through that if worst came to worst, and use Denniston for the 300-foot gap. I had the opportunity to go visit over there and see what was going on last week. And that's a very tight area, and $400 a foot makes a lot of sense to me now when I saw what these guys are having to do to get up the hill, etc. But it's definitely worked against us that we were doing this at the time that this all happened. But we lost that easy reserve without some additional effort. And plus, we didn't have generators against them. So we're gonna have those too, right? We've ordered those, and they're gonna be in there.
Going through the
hopefully.
permitting process now.
Okay, so hopefully the next high winds won't happen. The thing was, I was not aware that, you know, the margin could be that thin, and that if we'd gone another day or two, it could have been very interesting. I'm pleased that we managed to make it happen now. One of the things we discussed in that discussion of looking at the Stone Dam pipeline, we need to somehow, the general manager, the president, need to go visit one of our legislators like Jerry Hill. We need to go say clearly what the impact to this could have been to this community and the Coastside had we not had the water service. So I would like to ask staff to figure out how we do that. Either we generate a letter and carry it to him personally and tell him that could be a crisis if this ever happens and PG&E is not responsive. And that we need to have PG&E to better hear us and to listen to us and to work with us to make sure that we have some clarity on what they need to do. You cannot find anything out. The only one who knows is Jim, who has some contact there, thank goodness, who at least keeps them posted. So we need better from them, and we need to have someone on our side, a reasonable level of authority here to get to them, and to make it clear that there's a lot of dissatisfaction if they don't give us a little better support. So I'm all for that. I'm just asking you guys to think about how you could do that for us. I'll participate, I'll do whatever it takes to make that point.
So one of the areas that I'd like to discuss, I think the board to think about is that we've sent out an email message to the customers prior to the shutdown saying that we anticipated no water problems. My thought is, why not change that to asking people to conserve water? And it's kind of a no-brainer that if the power's gonna be out, do you need to water your lawn? It's not a big lift to say, hey, please don't do outside lawn watering. We have the protocol for when we had a drought. We were good at it. We did see a water reduction. I don't think the consumers would be traumatized if we told them that PG&E is gonna turn off the water. And we'd like the consumers to help by turning off their outside watering and not washing their cars during this event. And I'm just saying, as a board member, I think we as a board, you know, it's our job to provide direction to staff. And I got an email saying that we didn't anticipate any water quality or quantity problems, and I'm thinking, you know, if we'd had a fire, we would have been really tight on water. And so, I think that my recommendation is that we change that policy and say if there's gonna be a known power outage, we don't currently have enough power generation to make more water. And so if we're living off those tanks, that's a pretty reasonable request of the consumers.
Well, I have a comment also. It seems to me like this is the kind of time when a permitting process ought to be expedited and not something that takes a typical time frame. So it seems like if there was an ability to communicate with the proper people at the Board of Supervisors, for example, and say, hey, this is emergency power for emergency situations, we're in new territory here, you know, doesn't this seem like something that should go to the top of the stack? Because I can't imagine that the project is that complicated. I mean, I don't think it's easy, but I don't think it's something that, you know, needs lots and lots of review. It needs to be top of the list.
The air board's been very responsive. The delay is gonna be getting the generators.
Is it, yeah, because now everybody wants.
Everyone's ordering them right now. And on the authority to construct permit, they actually have a checkbox. Are you buying this generator due to the PSPS events?
Oh, no kidding.
So they are tracking how many people are buying new generators because of these events.
Well, I knew that.
That is interesting. All diesel being burned.
Yeah, right by the.
I mean, we're not the only ones, obviously.
Absolutely.
I will say, just on Director Riddle's point, we have changed our messaging. We've changed what we have on the website right now, and it is something we were, you know, I think there were two things, you know, we weren't necessarily, you know, understanding that we could be without power for days. And so, you know, for a day or so outage, it's not a big deal. When you're talking days, it becomes a big deal. We also, we're thinking, you know, wondering, you know, we're thinking that we may, our usage might be less than it was during the outage, because of, you know, not, you know, that people don't have access to, you know, even, you know, a lot of people like, you know, my water heater doesn't work, you know, so, you know. It's,
Sorry about that.
so,
I got a pilot away.
Yeah, my wife's like, I got hot water, we got no problem.
No water, no.
But, you know, but what we found, so, you know, before, so with Water Smart, actually, it was really great because we're able to see, like, the day before, you know, the outage, we used about, 1.8 million gallons. The day of the outage, the full day, on Sunday, we used about 1 million. But in going back and looking at our customers, there's a, you know, 200,000 of those gallons were used in, you know, with ag customers. So it's and, you know, we, you know, understand we all have, you know, businesses we have to be dealing with, so not, you know, but it is something where you start breaking down the customers, and then we realize that even like irrigation, I think a lot of people do have battery backups on their irrigation.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, it is, anyway, so.
Well, I would like to compliment the staff and the district for keeping the water in the pipes. I mean, I didn't sense any interruption at all in my lifestyle, and, you know, of course, in the dark, you don't stand in the shower quite as long, you know, but, or maybe you stand longer, I don't know, based on your personal preferences, but I was very impressed, and in fact, I was really proud to tell people, yeah, I'm associated with CCWD, and, you know, you turned on your faucet, and what did you get? Fresh, you know, clean water. I mean, I think it's real tribute, and I think we could do better. It's not about that, or, you know, there are some things we can figure out to you know, take away the stress and the, you know, potential problems. But yeah, I was really proud of that. I mean, it's like, you know, no lights, but I've got water. Hallelujah! You know, it's top of my list. So congratulations.
Yeah.
I think you got to do really
The gang
well.
did a great job.
Yeah,
No
great
question. Yeah, super.
And do you have more in your report?
No, that's.
I have one last question. So the meters read through the cellular network. The cellular network was up, down, so were we able to read meters? Did Water Smart have a gap in it?
No, we have the reads.
It was up to
Sure, but did it read during the power outage, or did they just update after the power came back on?
We're not sure because our internet was down.
Oh, so we did, yeah, there, never mind, yeah, okay. No, I was just curious, it just came to my attention.
Yeah, the good news is that we're having backup internet service installed, you know, right now, so.
I was actually watching two other water systems that I'm on call for, and it was interesting to watch as their power went down and watching their tank levels as I was watching on my phone.
My internet went off, and I just put my phone on the shelf. It was great. Felt like it was a vacation. Sort of like a hallelujah day. Thank you very much, Mary. And so now, James, appreciate hearing your report.
Okay.
Evening, board members. Very busy month. Director Michelson, that was a ductile iron man on Metzger. You caught me off guard when I first walked into the meeting.
Okay.
It's older ductile iron, many years old, and it happened the night after the power outage. So I can't say enough nice things about the operations staff. They're so dedicated, and they'll do whatever it takes when it needs to happen. They're out there all night fixing that. So it's older ductile iron, it's not the newer ductile iron.
So-
And the old ductile iron is very different than new in terms of its construction, the metals in it.
Was it cast
and the
iron or
code.
ductile?
Ductile.
And the leak was it a pit or crack or?
Hole.
Pardon me?
It was a hole,
It was a hole.
hole in the main.
No,
So
no,
we're looking at Metzger and replacement strategy and scheduling that.
no, yeah, no, thanks for clarification.
Sure.
Because, when we use replacement materials, it's not nice to know longevity, since we seem to have longevity up here.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And Mary, thank you for your synopsis of the power outage. It was a good test for us. I think we learned a lot. We learned some other things that we need to add to our protocols, some backup power for some of our SCADA. We lost some tank levels in terms of remote access. The internet was a little bit spotty, so we're gonna work on that. We'll be better prepared next time. Monday afternoon I was at the point where, do we reconnect Pillar Cedos or not, the Stone Dam pipeline, which is literally at least almost a whole full day's work. So we're at that decision point. Do we tell engineering to stop and start putting it back together? And we made sure as they were going that they only took 200 to 300 feet out at a time, because Darren and I had a long conversation with Sean as well of, do we really want to start this project right now knowing that we're in offshore season? So we went for it. We've got about 400 feet already installed. They've still got quite a ways to go. But I am really glad I didn't tell them to start putting the pipe together and then call them and say, start taking it apart. Because that, it's that balance.
Better you than us, that's a tough
So
decision.
since then, Darren has ordered fittings. We can roll out 5-inch fire hose, which will pretty much take care of what water is available for Pillar Cedos if we had to emergency reconnect it. So once the Stone Dam pipeline's back in, we're gonna be in much better shape. We could, as long as there's water in that reservoir, we could run for almost forever. And also with the Denniston generators.
What's the elevation of that reservoir?
6, ooh. That's a good question. Guessing 70 PSI at the bottom, so about 300 feet.
So it's not a problem. No, it's good. We're very fortunate.
I think so. So if you have any other questions about the power shutdowns, please ask Mary or I, and we'll get back to you, because questions do come up sometimes after events like that, many weeks later. So while Denniston was down for the dredging, we did a bunch of maintenance there. It's listed in terms of pumps and chemical feed pumps. Raw water pump 1 got replaced. When we dredged, we found that the raw water intake pipe was cracked. We got that repaired, reset the screens in the Denniston reservoir, nice solid ground, and put a nice fitting in there that can handle a little deflection. If it starts to sink, we can adjust it. So that came out great. The small weir gate got installed as well when we dredged. Kind of jumping around the thing here a little bit. Nunes maintenance, we did repair the poly blend, also installed a new brine pump on the hypochlorite generator. Installed a new pump in Pillar Cedos Well 1 after cleaning and videoing the well for the pumping season. We don't have a lot of water available. Pillar Cedos Creek right now, we're pumping about 245 gallons a minute, but that's all we can get at this point before the rains. Got a list of leaks. I talked about one of them. Installed 7 hydrants. Our sources were Denniston Reservoir, Denniston Wells, Pillar Cedos Lake, and Crystal Springs. We have a new fence installed in the front parking lot. I don't know if you guys noticed, we got rid of the ivy on the fence there. That was something that Dave Dixon, one of his last requests was get rid of the ivy and put up a new fence there, so it looks real nice out there. Conduit has been installed for the new AT&T connection to back up the Comcast internet. Like I mentioned, Stone Dam, we've got about 400 feet in. They're making good progress. It is very slow going. As discussed, it's a very narrow area. They have to take pipe out, move it behind them, bring pipe in. So they're moving along. They're doing great. They are currently on PUC property now and moving up the hill. Bispo Road pipeline extension, we're still waiting for them to change out the DCDA and get county sign off. Bell Moon, we're gonna tie that in on, or Andrini's gonna tie it in on Thursday night, and they've got a little bit of concrete work to do, so that's coming to an end. Casa Del Mar PRV project, the long-awaited project, has started this week. Stolowski is getting things lined up, and that should not take too long. Ferdinand Pipeline, we're just waiting for California Trenchless to finish an ADA ramp on a corner, and then they'll be all complete with that, once they get the county sign-off. And distribution exam results, staff did great on that last round of distribution. Darren got his D2, skipped the D1, went right to the D2, did great. Matt got his D4, Jack Whalen got his D4,
Wow.
and Dustin got his D4.
Wow.
Very proud of staff to go after those certifications.
Do we have any D5s? Or are we a district where you can get a 5?
I have a D5.
Does this district
Yes.
qualify you for a D5?
You can get a D5.
Okay. Well, that's good. Awesome.
If
Fantastic.
you have any questions,
What's the total length of the stone dam pipe?
2,600 feet.
Oh, so they're only 400 feet into it? So they got a
At
long
the
way.
beginning of the project, there was lots of grubbing and training from biologists of what to do, what not to do, and how to handle it. So now that they've got it kind of into their project, they're moving right along. Jim
Yeah.
Steele's been fantastic.
He
helping
is,
on that
he's great,
project.
he's great.
Yeah, he really knows how to help get them lined up and have them do it right.
Well, he's careful, but he's also knowledgeable and,
Very reasonable in his recommendations. He's been a huge help. The PU staff that's out in the field have been really helpful too.
good,
Nice people.
good.
Any other questions?
I think we're good.
Dave, your legacy continues. We're putting in pipe. Thank you.
That's great to see that.
And there's no water, no conservation officer reports tonight.
No. Meeting adjourned.
Any just director agenda items or requests for board meetings?
Yeah, I just got one comment. So I finished my part of the strategic planning committee work and forwarded it to you and Mary. So, at your convenience, and, I, will keep you, the team updated as what comes out. We had a very, I don't wanna say emotional, but a very impassioned backflow meeting with the state of California. Good news is they were shockingly receptive. It went really well. The points that were brought up were really significant, and it's moving forward, and they have every intention of rolling it out fast. So that was really the message that came out to all of us. It's been stalled for probably 3 years. The state of California just is like, they tagged Mark Bartson with doing it and said, get her done. And he's rocking and rolling. So,
Okay, no further comments. I would like to adjourn the November meeting of the Coastside County Water District Board of Directors at 8:03. I think it's a record.
So we get to go for a
Yeah,
break one of these days.
Right.